Bears and Jaguars. Now, normally we wouldn't really touch a London game because London games don't really matter. And ultimately, this wasn't a good game. This was indicative of a London game. Like, I forgot the game was on. Like, I didn't realize the game was on until the game was damn near over. But at the end of the same time, I caught a good majority of the game. So I know what happened. But I don't really want to talk about the game to break down the game itself. I want to talk about the game because it gives me an opportunity to have a conversation that I'm always intrigued to have. And that is the conversation of nurture versus nature when it comes to high end draft picks who are expected to be something, whether that's expected to be great, whether that's expected to be elite, or in the case of both people that were involved in this game, Caleb Williams on one side, Trevor Lawrence on the other side, expected to be generational. And it's so ironic that they both played and you've seen from both players how far apart they are.
Crazy.
How one person is actually much closer to that G word than the other. And I'm not somebody to root for people's failure. Psych. Psych. I'm the biggest hater, nigga. Kendrick Lamar ain't got shit on me. I'm the biggest hater.
Hey, they used to call you Hater Herb, man.
They used to call me Hater Herb, man. Being a hater for keeping it a buck. Listen, Trevor Lawrence was never generational. And I am not somebody that's saying this with hindsight. I'm not somebody who's saying this, you feel me, because, you know, it's the thing to say now. I've been saying this since his rookie year. I got the motherfucking proof. I said it on here, on this platform.
On here. Yeah.
You can go find the videos. You can go find the videos. I've been saying this and I've been consistent because I knew immediately. I knew going back to Clemson. I knew going back to any time he played against high-end competition, he left a lot to be desired. So it always bothered me and it always drove me crazy how people who don't actually watch these people or don't actually watch these players in college, they just go off of what Mel Kiper tells them. They go off of what Todd McShay tells them. They go off of whatever person is on ESPN. And because they're told these things, they live and die with these opinions that they did not formulate themselves. That is so freaking stupid.
Absolutely.
I have been fighting this narrative that Trevor Lawrence is a generational football player, generational quarterback since his rookie year. And I'll be consistent. You can go back last year on the podcast when I said about Trevor, I said about Caleb. I said Caleb has all the talent in the world, but the only way he's going to be great is if he doesn't do all the stupid shit that y'all get hyped for. That's not how you win in the NFL. And guess what? He is being the best version of himself by being boring, because that's how you win. Caleb Williams is learning the secret to winning football games. And the secret to winning football games is being exceptional at the boring shit. Tom Brady has 7 championships because he was exceptional at the boring shit. Patrick
100%.
Mahomes just won 2 back-to-back Super Bowls because he was exceptional and he learned how to be exceptional at the boring shit. And you're watching 2 quarterbacks go completely on two quarterbacks who were on the same path and go in divergent areas. You can't make the argument that it's about the situation when we were 2 weeks removed from saying that the Bears are a dumpster fire and they're going to get Caleb Williams killed. And now all of a sudden the situation is good again? No, he's just playing better. That's what happens. If you play like a good quarterback, you mask things. You don't enhance a bad situation. You help a bad situation. If you are a really good quarterback, if you have the potential to be generational, if you have the potential to be elite. Trevor, because he was never generational, is showing you what it looks like. He's showing you that he is okay. And I've never said that he's a bust. I've never said that Trevor is bad. I've even said, and I quote, Trevor might be the most talented quarterback I've ever seen, only because he's so talented that he can't fail. He can't be bad. He's too talented to be a bad quarterback. If he had any less talent than he has, he would be a bad quarterback. He is a function. Caleb is a good quarterback because Caleb is a good football player. Trevor is a mediocre quarterback because he's a talented quarterback and he's a bad football player. One has the instincts, the other one lacks. And you're seeing it. And you saw it on display.
Oh, dude. I mean, when you watch, listen, I didn't get to catch most of the game because, like you know, despite all the years I've been watching football, Herbie, I still fucking fail to remember the London game sometime. Like, and it's ideal, right? You wake up. It's not like, you know, we don't live on the West Coast. We live on the East Coast. So it's like for you to wake up early, eat your breakfast, boom, football. Hell yeah. Sorry, man. Like I guess I'm too old to think like that. Maybe when I was in my 20s, it was a little easier. But when you watch that game, Herbie, you come away, if you didn't know where Trevor Lawrence was drafted, you would have thought that nigga might have been, I won't say you would have thought he was a backup. I ain't gonna go that deep. But you would have thought he was just like some second round or third round pick. And then you look at Caleb Williams, Herbie, and he took a lot of criticism the first few games because, you know, like we spoke on earlier, there's a lot of recency bias in especially in this fast-paced social media, fucking every week, every day, you got to upload clips and highlights and all that. So we want results and we want everything fast. That's the way our minds are working now. So we saw our initial impressions, or most people's initial impressions of Caleb Williams was, oh man, like he ain't gonna be all that. But Herbie, do people forget? Like some of the greatest quarterbacks of all time didn't even start their first season. Like we have forgotten that sometimes it does take, it takes time for certain guys to develop. Like there are guys who you can see from day one right away. Like Patrick Mahomes, the moment he stepped on the field, people kind of already knew what was up. You know what I mean? But when you look at Caleb Williams, how fast he's progressing. Like you said, him being able to improve at the boring stuff. I also thought that the Bears did a good job of helping him out a little bit. You know, DeAndre Swift, who's the running back for the Bears, they did a better job of getting him out in space instead of just having him run chaotically into a pile of bodies because he doesn't really excel at that. So you have the coaching staff learning not only how to utilize Caleb, the coaching staff is learning how to utilize the pieces around him. And Caleb himself, Herbie, that touchdown pass to Keenan Allen, where he throws it on his back shoulder between two defenders in the middle of the end zone. Like, Herbie, only great quarterbacks can make that throw. That's not a throw that a bum can make. That's not a throw that an average quarterback can make. Like, only people with that kind of potential consistently. Like, that's a throw that you would see Aaron make consistently or Peyton make consistent. Like, only the highest of the high could make that throw, Herbie. So when you see things like that and you see the way the Bears this season, their record might not be spectacular, but the Bears this season have dominated bad competition. And that was when Caleb wasn't even up to speed. And he's still catching up to speed. He's already showing us how high his ceiling is. Trevor Lawrence, Herbie, let's be honest. How much has he really grown? Like he was living off of Urban Meyer going to the club, cheating on his wife or doing whatever. He was living off of all of that his first couple of years. But Herbie, we've seen it. He has a Super Bowl winning head coach. Doug Peterson won a freaking Super Bowl with a backup quarterback. Like that, something like that. Like Herbie, he did something that we almost never, maybe we had never seen before. And a guy like that who is known for ours, he had Carson Wentz looking like an MVP. So I just feel like, Herbie, especially when you look at the talent they added around Trevor Lawrence, giving him a tight end in Evan Ingram, giving him, he had a guy, is Calvin Ridley still on the team?
No, Calvin Ridley's on the Tennessee Titans, but think about this. Calvin Ridley had 1,000 yards with him.
He still has Christian Kirk. He still has other guys.
Brian Thomas Jr. could make that Brian Thomas Jr. could be a number one receiver on a lot of teams right now. That's how good he is.
100.
He is losing out on production because Trevor misses him. Trevor missed him by a mile in the game, this game. To the point where Brian Thomas Jr. was looking at the nigga like, bro, what you doing? What are you on, dog? Like, when your wide receivers get visibly upset with you, then it's a problem, dog. Because that means that miss is consistent. They remember when you missed again. They remember when you missed them in practice. They remember just like, dog, what are we doing with this nigga out here?
It's a loss of
Like,
trust. That's what it is. It's a loss of trust.
Crazy, I'm going crazy running these routes, and you throwing this shit in the dirt, my nigga. You throwing this shit over my head. You throwing this shit behind me.
Crazy.
Like, I am not one to say that Trevor Lawrence went into the best situation that we've ever seen. But we got to stop pretending that he's in an awful situation. Like, he's not in an awful situation.
Hell no.
That's the point. You getting paid because you're supposed to elevate. You have more than enough to be a good team. You have more than enough to not lose 9 straight games. There's never been a great quarterback that lost 9 straight games. It doesn't happen.
No. It just doesn't.
Mediocre ones do. You know he's the only person that has a lower percentage of third down efficiency than Deshaun Watson, who right now who hasn't converted his last 26 third downs, and Trevor Lawrence still has a lower third down efficiency rate.
Disgusting. Oh my God.
Disgusting. That's how you lose 9 straight games. That's how you do it.
Crazy.
It is absurd. And again, I don't gain anything. I don't get a bonus for being right about this nigga being mediocre. Like, you feel me? Like, you feel me? Like, but it just drives me crazy when instead of just saying, hey, looking at reality, opening your third eye and saying, maybe this dude ain't all that, I'm going to blame the coach. I'm going to get 2 coaches fired. I'm going to say, oh, Calvin really wasn't good enough. Get him out of here. Christian Kirk ain't good enough. Get him out of here. Travis Etienne ain't good enough. We need somebody else. Brian Thomas Jr., yeah, he's okay, but he's not a number 1 receiver. I seen somebody in the group saying Trevor Lawrence doesn't have a number 1. Yeah, he does.
Yes, 100%.
He's holding him back right now.
Get the fuck out of here. Oh my. People always want to make excuses for these niggas, man. Come on, bro.
That's the part that drives me crazy. Because it ain't about being right or being wrong. It's about stop putting it out on people who are doing their jobs because one person is not. And that person that you actually know and you're aware of, and all you do is look at a box score. So that's the name that you identify with. And because you identify with that person, you have a relationship with that person. Because you have a relationship, you feel me, whether it's a fictional relationship, because you don't know this person for real. None of you niggas have shook this nigga's hand, but you have an affinity for him because you just know who he is and you remember what he was supposed to be coming out of college. So you'll tear everything down instead of holding him to the fire. And now, because it has been 4 years of this shit, niggas have to be honest. And I love it. I love it.
You can only hold on to the idea for so long. Until your bubble gets burst. And when your bubble gets burst, Herbie, that crash to reality, whew, man, that's like you being in an elevator and that shit just drops from 40 to the basement. That's what niggas is feeling right now. That's what niggas is feeling right now.